I've been playing POE for a little under 10 years now, and this is the single biggest change the game has seen in its entirety of its lifespan. I'm actually in utter disbelief. I'm actually just kind of like stun locked, like I'm literally being tasered. Hi guys, this is Snap, and today we're going to be talking about the cooked GGG post, which is the what we're working on, posted late last night. Now, a little bit of context here, if you don't know who I am. I've been doing various forms of magic finding in Path of Exile for literally as long as the game has existed. Whether that's 8 or 9 years ago when we're MFing Dominus runs, or Mervile runs, progressing to exalting eye level 76 maps, the golden era of Monstrous Treasure in the early 3.0 patches, moving on to Fractured mapping, the last couple patches, Deli mapping with the new Atlas tree. I've basically done it all. I'm also this dumb fuck who was spamming your screen in Delve League. My group and I pushed first Delve all the way up to 1500. We're all very passionate and experienced players in the game. Generally, when GGG makes a lot of these changes, we aren't super upset about it. We get nerfed over and over. Our builds get changed. It's fine, and we adapt. But in the most recent what we're working on post, there's a section in the general item drops here that is the biggest change Path of Exile has ever received in the entire game history. And it might take a little bit of explaining why that is. If you haven't been playing like a Kalandra, there has been a substantial reduction in the raw number of drops across the entire game. As a response to this, GGG put out this particular snippet in the what we're working on post, and the line that we really care about reads here. The second reason is that we removed a massive historic bonus to item quantity and or rarity that applied to some league specific monsters. We replaced it with a moderate 2 to 3 times increase to item quantity to offset the fact that they often have more life than regular monsters and some cannot drop maps. This right here is the biggest change PoE has ever received. It might not seem like it, but people don't really understand how quantity and rarity on monsters work in PoE. The way that item drops work in PoE is essentially every monster is compared to a white monster in a map, and they have a quantity and rarity bonus applied to them depending on how much loot GGG wants it to drop. We don't know exactly what those numbers are, but for instance, let's take a Delirium mob or a Breach monster. They have some large quantity and rarity bonus applied to them so that when you do the league mechanic, you are rewarded for it. So if you're killing a single Breach monster, it's going to be maybe 10 times as rewarding as a single white mob in the map. And this is done so that when you actually engage with the league mechanic and you do a Breach or do an Abyss, you're rewarded with an alchemy. These mobs on average are something like 10 to 20 times as more rewarding as a singular white mob in the map, which is why you see quantity and rarity bonuses on mobs that are in the 1,000. You can see it on Tormented Spirits. Tormented Spirits has something like 1,000% increased quant and rarity or more, so that when a mob is possessed by a Tormented Spirit, that's why you're getting so many rares. So basically what they've done here is they've taken all league mechanics that spawn monsters in the map and completely destroyed their drops to the ground, actually decimated all of these league mechanics. So now any league mechanic in your map that is just adding extra mobs are almost just as worthless as a single white mob in your map. Maybe they're 2 to 3 times the quantity of a regular white monster, but without any of the rarity bonuses. Whereas before, we don't know the exact numbers, these were probably in the 1,000. So it is literally like a 10x reduction in the amount of base quantity and rarity that you're getting per monster in the map, which is then multiplied by the rarity of your MF character and or the party bonus. This leads to something like a 95 to like a 98% reduction in just all loot in the map, especially if you're relying on juicing mechanics like Breach and or Abyss to add mobs to the map. So now in the current Kalandra League, the only stuff that's really rewarding to you are what we call flat drops. Flat drops is stuff like chests, like Legion chests that you can open, Blight chests that you can open that have a preset drop table that's not affected by killing a mob. You can see that in the current Kalandra League, all of these mechanics that have flat drops weren't really affected, which is why doing stuff like altars or Blight or Heist, stuff that's dropping in chests, is not affected by this massive sweeping change. Mechanics like Harbinger, Breach, and Abyss, stuff that was adding monsters to the map, is now completely worthless and is never worth putting on your map. In one fell swoop, GGG has destroyed almost half of the league mechanics in one small patch note that didn't even make it to the patch notes. It was a passing comment here in a manifesto that what they're working on. Honestly, my personal thoughts is that it's actually like kind of insulting that GGG would try to slip this in and act like nobody would really notice. And then when the community calls them out and say that drops really aren't working correctly, they double down and expect us to, swallow it and say that this is intended. So basically, GGG has taken a decade making tons of league mechanics that are beautifully designed in the Atlas that are all working together to drop you items, and now almost more than half of them are irrelevant because they don't drop any loot. What this effectively means is that endgame mapping is just completely dead. It is a non-activity. The only thing that you can extract out of your map in terms of value is going to be stuff with flat rewards, that being stuff out of chests. Putting extra monsters on your map, such as Delirium, Abyss, Breach, or Alva, is now completely worthless and has left Path of Exile in the worst state I have ever seen since I started 10 years ago. The game is literally not functioning, and I can't reiterate enough that this is literally the biggest change GGG has ever made. Not a single mention of it anywhere in any of the teasers or the patch notes or anything before the league. It is an absolute decimation of mapping endgame as a whole. Mapping in the endgame is literally not an activity. This, coupled with the beyond changes as well as the rare changes, you're seeing almost nothing in your maps, and the more and more you invest into your map, the more likely you are to waste or lose money because you're not relying on the flat rewards. And to prove this, me and my 6-man group went into 2 maps to prove a point. We super juiced 2 of our maps to the absolute nth degree. Been MFing for a long time, we really know what we're doing here. Our mapping setup is a 6-man party comp with a Kohler with max quantum rarity. Typically we hit around 120 quantity plus 1,000 rarity on the Kohler. We're using a Martial Forces Atlas setup with a conch map, double influenced of course. We're using 4 winged scarabs, winged relic, winged div, winged abyss, and winged breach, which historically have been the best setup. We also handpicked the 4 juiciest sextants, including Beyond and Hunted Traders, to maximize the juice in the map, and we ran 2 of these maps in the Kalandra League. In total, this is the amount that we invested to run the map, including the scarabs and rerolling. Per map, as a 6-man team, we are investing 227 chaos, give or take, on putting this map into the map device. This is the screenshot of a fully looted map with our filter from Sentinel League, picking up any valuable uniques we may have gotten, as well as everything in the map, including currency, simulacrum splinters, as well as heist contracts. And this is the result. We put this particular tab into Excellence, and this is the amount of value we extracted out of the map. Including the 2 lucky card drops we got, which was the Enlightened here, the total revenue from the map is 266 chaos. The map took us around 10 minutes to fully complete, and that brings our total profit to 39 chaos for 10 minutes of 7 players' time, which is 6 plus a trader. You divide that by 7, we are making 5 chaos every 10 minutes per person. And if you assume you can run 6 maps an hour at that pace, we are making a total of 33 chaos per hour. Once again, that is 5 chaos per map or 33 chaos per hour for an endgame hyper-optimized juicing strat with absolute max roll scarabs and sextants, as well as highly optimized culling builds with over 1,000 rarity and 120 quant. And if that doesn't illustrate how big of a change this is, I don't know what will. This does not affect just groups. All juicing for all solo players is just completely dead. And this is why mapping in POE is just not a thing anymore. It has actually been destroyed, decimated from all angles. And I really don't see a way out of this unless GGG really walks back some of these changes, because as it stands right now, the only profitable thing to do in the league right now is just a heist. Is actually unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, what's the plan for us here now? The game is completely destroyed. The game we love, the game we played for 10 years in a group, and no matter thick and thin, all the changes, this is absolutely the craziest thing I've ever seen come to the game in a decade. So yeah, I mean, I am at a loss for words. I am stun locked. And then watching Chris make this post and double down is just, it is actually a stun lock. I don't know what to say. I'm a loss for words. Yeah, I hope you guys have a little more context on why mapping is just completely dead in PoE. I really don't know what the future holds for us. We're just holding our breath. As far as we know, in the Kalandra League, we probably aren't going to be playing anymore. Probably find something else to do with our time, whether that's touching grass or playing another game. We really don't know. But yeah, it's been a wild ride, guys. Like, I don't know what the future entails for us. I can only hope GG walks back some of these changes and the game is playable again, I guess. That's literally the only thing we can do. But yeah, guys, I think that's it for now. Fuck.